has established herself in her previous role as a predominant mortgage advisor, as a top mortgage specialist in her past life with a major Canadian bank. Julie progressed through the management ranks and ultimately held an executive role overseeing 300 plus mortgage specialists in the GTA and as I've already mentioned, with a major bank. Tapping into her entrepreneur spirit and love for connecting with clients, Julie has co-founded a boutique mortgage team with her sister, created with the name of Law Financial under the Premier Mortgage Center umbrella. I was just at the Premier conference earlier this week, and I am proud to say that this group won one of the top teams, just with 2.5 years being in this sector. So super proud of you. You must be super proud of yourself, Julie. Congratulations. And thank you so much for volunteering your time to be with us here today.
Thanks, Barb. I really appreciate you having me.
All right, so let's get into some of the chat, because I know a lot of these questions are some of the things that are going through people's minds right now. I wanted to kind of start off with mindset, because I think that's an important thing. Where was your mindset when you made the decision to leave the bank?
So I left the bank 2.5 years ago. So if we think back, that was right in the middle of COVID. So I was a little tired. I was a little worn out. I was probably at the point in my career. I mean, I had been with a major bank for close to 20 years. I was a little tired with the rate of change at the bank and, some of the restrictions that were put on us. And my journey at the bank was all in the mortgage space. So started as a mobile mortgage specialist, transitioned into sales manager, went to work at head office again in the mortgage space. And then they sent me back out to lead a group of mobile mortgage specialists. So everything that I knew in the banking world was the mortgage space. And it was what I loved. And what I was most passionate about. And for me, it was just time to learn something else in that space. And it was a logical next step for me to begin to explore the broker space, which I didn't know that much about. Mm-hmm. As you mentioned, Barb, strong entrepreneurial spirit, and I was just ready from a professional standpoint to learn a new piece of the business and to be able to contribute and give back to the industry in a different area of the business.
Mm-hmm. Now, we chatted earlier this week, and one of the questions I asked was, do you wish you had done it sooner?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I'll never take away from my journey at the bank. I think it's such a great place to start. If this is the business that you want to be in, it's such a great training ground. I learned so much there. But yes, especially when I chose to leave in the middle of COVID, because the market had been hot. And then we started to slow. So I certainly didn't get the right timing. But no, I do wish it was something that I had done sooner. I've been so amazed on the broker space. I think Joe had said it earlier, you come from the bank and all you know is your product, your policy, your rates, your guidelines, your mortgage terms and conditions. And you actually think that's the way that everybody else operates, all other banks, all other lenders. And it was really amazing to me when I did come into this space at how much I didn't know and how much there was to learn. And, I tell people it's probably been the greatest professional and personal development journey that I've been on was this transition. So yeah, I do wish that I had done it much sooner than I did.
So this kind of leads me into the next question, which is actually perfect, is what went into the decision to pick the right brokerage? Because as you already said, you thought you knew it all. But then you obviously picked an amazing brokerage with Premier Mortgage Center. I'm sure that actually was like a blessing in disguise for you, because you were able to kind of be guided and mentored by some of the best in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I transitioned over, there was another colleague of mine that was leaving the bank at the same time, and she and I did a lot of research. We spoke to a lot of other brokers or agents that we had known through our banking experience, and talked to them to see how their experience had gone, who they were working with, what they suggested. We spent a lot of time, we talked to several different networks, and we actually did talk to several different brokerages as well. I actually have known Carrie for 20 plus years. When I was a mobile mortgage specialist new in the business, Carrie used to knock on my door and try to recruit me. And funny enough, I don't know why, but she wasn't where I went first. And then I was led to a conversation with Rich. His sister and I had previously worked together. And so I was led to a conversation with Rich. And it was so funny. Within a few minutes of Rich and I chatting, he right away said to me, like, do you know Carrie Reed? I was like, oh yeah, I've known her for a while. Anyways, he really encouraged me to follow with Carrie. And I think it was probably within the first minute of the conversation that I just knew that that was the place that we belonged.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, there was a few things that stood out about MCC and about Premier. And really, I found that MCC and Premier were best aligned to our experience. They both, the network and the brokerage, had the right amount of feel that I needed to still feel bank-like, but just enough freedom and autonomy for me to do the things that I hadn't been able to do on the bank side. Carrie and Dawn came from CIBC and home loans. The way that they had their brokerage set up, I had the right amount of training, but not too much training. They provided me with mentorship. Barb, you early on, I remember reaching out to you and saying, oh my goodness, what's this mastermind group that you've got going on? And how do I get my name in there? How can I join these mastermind sessions? So it was just the right amount of what we loved, or at least what I loved about being at the bank, but allowing me to explore and develop where I hadn't previously been able to explore and develop.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. Now, what do you feel like what did you notice as your biggest difference upon making the transition?
So I think there's a lot of differences.
Yeah.
Like I said before, you really, you leave the bank thinking that you know everything. And I'm not going to lie, like I did coming over, I had a bit of an ego. I mean, not only had I been a top performing specialist, but I had worked myself up the ranks. I had been an executive in the bank. I had led 300 mobile mortgage specialists. And it was funny when I would share this experience, nobody really seemed to care. And I would be like, but wait a minute, this is what I've done. Like, give me some credit. Anyways, it didn't take long for me to get off my high horse and understand how little I actually knew. And I remember quite early on speaking to an old colleague of mine that was now in the broker space, and she warned me. She said, you cannot make any assumptions on this side. You will assume something because of your experience at the bank, and you will be quickly surprised how you cannot assume anything. And I think one of the examples I have of that was early on, I thought I had found this alternative solution for a client, and I was so excited, and I'd done my research, and I thought we had nailed it, and we were going to have the perfect opportunity for this client for their renewal or refinance. And they said to me, the lender said to me, we don't finance in Woodstock. And I was like, what do you mean you don't finance in Woodstock? Like, lenders pick and choose where they finance. So it was really clear to me early on that every lender, has some different nuances, guidelines. And I think that's the biggest thing I took away was you can't make any assumptions. You need to do your research. Um, and there's great people here to help you. I mean,
Mhm.
the business development managers at all the different lenders are so awesome. They want your business, they want to help you grow. And even if you can't do the deal with them, they're so willing to help you understand where you can do the deal. The other thing too that I was really blown away by, Barb, was I couldn't believe the level of professionalism over here and how smart people were. I would listen to the way that people designed and organized their businesses. They would talk about the customer journey that they would provide from, for their clients. I was just blown away by the level of expertise on this side of the business.
Mhm.
I worked with a great group of people at the bank, but I was very, very impressed with the people on this side of the business, and how open and willing they were to share, and just honestly how amazing some of the businesses and teams are run on this side of the business.
Mhm. So what I'm just going to quickly recap, just do it. Make sure you pick the right brokerage and team that's going to be able to mentor you, help you, fill that gap of knowledge that you thought you knew everything, but you actually don't. So that's extremely important. And the last question, because we've talked about it so many times, I know Ryan's talked about it, I know Joe's talked about autonomy. I think this is a huge one because I feel with, and not to talk ill about the bank, but obviously you guys are put into a box of what you can and can't do. I want to kind of express that because those that do come over to the side and have such a huge entrepreneur spirit, what has that meant for you?
Yeah, so I think when you're coming from the bank, there's a couple of things. I think you're primarily focused on, okay, this is so exciting. I'm going to be able to go over to that side, and I'm going to be able to create a logo and have my brand colors, and I'm going to be able to have an Instagram account, and I'm going to be able to, get on camera and do a reel, and nobody's going to tell me that I can't do that, which are all amazing things. Like, it's so awesome that you can come over here and that you can brand yourself and you can build out a business that's got your look and feel. But the other things too that you can do is you can come over here and really design the customer journey that you want to provide to your clients. It can
Mm-hmm.
be as detailed and have as many touch points as you want. There are so many tools and there's so much technology to support that. I'm just amazed with when I look at different people's businesses, how much, some of the things that you can automate and do to make your process easier. I also think too, the interesting thing, I'll remind people all of the time, like, you don't work for the bank. If things are not going well with this customer, it's okay. Like, you can pivot and say, this doesn't seem to be working well. Where
Mm-hmm.
I think when you're working with at a bank, you're just so fearful that a customer is going to call and make a complaint about you to your sales manager or to your AVP, and you're always constantly in that state of fear. I
Mm-hmm.
think for me, it was so amazing to be able to sort of design that perfect client avatar that I wanted to deal with, and then build a business that I really, really love because I get to work with the type of clients that I want to work with on a daily basis.
I love
Um,
that.
yeah, and early on, I needed to figure out what's that no list? Like, who do I want to deal with? And then who don't I want to deal with? Or what am I not good at and that I shouldn't be dealing with? And is there, someone that I can refer to or work with that, perhaps maybe they handle all the private mortgages and I do all the first time home buyers or reverse mortgages or whatever you're really passionate about. I think that's the really cool thing here is
Mm-hmm.
that there's so much to explore and learn. And if there's something that really excites you or the type of customer that really excites you, you can build a whole business out around that type of customer. Um, Or if there's areas that you're excited about learning, like you can get in here, you can learn commercial lending, you can, reverse mortgages. There's so many different areas that you can explore, and build your brand and your network around that. So I think it's not only the ability to do lots of stuff that you weren't allowed to do when you were at the bank, but I think it's really cool that you can build a business that really focuses on what you love and what you're passionate about.
Thanks, Julie. I appreciate you answering all the questions. Now, is there anything else that we didn't hit on that you felt compelled to want to share with the group?
I think it's important for me to share with the group, and I'm sharing this not to scare you, because that's not it, but I think you do have to come over here eyes wide open, and that it's not an easy transition. There were many tears at the beginning. I remember at the beginning having a new car, new computer, new system, nobody that I could go to, no tech department for me to go to help me quickly figure out, what I needed to do. For a mobile mortgage specialist, you're not going to have a sales manager over here.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do make the transition, there's so much to learn, and there's so many people that are here to help mentor you, and help with the transition. They're just, your broker owner, your sales leaders. We're lucky to have Barb, at the VP at our network. There's so many people that are here and willing to work with you and help you with the transition. But I do think you need to come over with eyes wide open, because it was the biggest personal development journey that I've gone on.
Mm-hmm.
It was tough, but it's been absolutely 100% worth it. And I think my growth as a business owner, my growth as a leader, and my growth as a mortgage professional, I wouldn't change it.
Well, thank you for being transparent and honest. And this goes back to what I said originally. Myself, Ryan, Joe, and Rich as well are here to support this, right? So we're not going to just leave, but like, here, join this brokerage, and you're never going to hear from us again. That's not what our intentions are. So this is why picking a network that is going to support you in that transition, in the good and the bad times, is extremely important. Now,